This meeting is being live streamed. Got it.
All right, Kim.
That's a good, yay.
Are you ready for Seed Swap Day, Kim?
Yes.
Yay. So 3, 2, 1. I think we're going live, and there we are.
Hey.
So a little bit of a delay there.
Right. That's a good,
yay. Are you ready for Seed Swap Day? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so 3, 2, 1. I think we're going live, and there we are. Hey. All right, welcome everybody. So a little bit of a delay there. All right, so it's like picture in picture. I'm going to stop the share. You there, Kim?
Yes, I am.
All right. Yeah, I don't want to like have the picture in picture and us echoing back and forth. Oops, still doing that. Let's see if I can get that to not be doing that. There we go. Now you're hearing me without the echo, correct, Kim?
I am. Sounds good.
Great. Perfect. Okay, so let's see if I can share our PowerPoint. Let's go back to screen sharing and welcome everybody who's joining us. We're going to have some fun Seed Swap Day prizes and things coming up. And are you seeing that, Kim?
I am, but it was the way we were talked about.
Okay, great. And let's see if we are on YouTube looking at myself. It's like so surreal, right? All the things we have to do. So hopefully everybody who is viewing from home on YouTube can see our PowerPoint. And just want to say welcome, Seed Swap Day 2022. Sounds like one of those dates in the far off future, but it's here, 2022.
How'd that happen?
Introduce my co-host, Kim Roman, if you want to say a few words about yourself.
So my name is Kim Roman, and I am the owner of a small business called Square Foot Gardening for You, the number 4, the letter U, and I teach small space, high intensive veggie and herb gardening. And, kind of my motto is help people confidently grow their own food. That's about it.
Cool, Kim. So Kim is, if you want to kind of give your location, you're near the Maryland, Pennsylvania border and Delaware border. You're
and
like
Delaware, right? I'm right
there at that little triangle.
Yeah. I live in Elkton, and there's a little town called Northeast, and it's Northeast Maryland.
Extremely northeast. And I am pulling it up on the app so I can see any comments that people pop up. Hello. And yes, Glovina Rosa, am I saying it correctly, is viewing. And I want to be able to keep track of any questions or comments that people might have live during it. And we're going to keep going back to this YouTube, and I'm going to keep track of it. So if you post a comment or a question 3 weeks from now, it'll pop up in my feed and I'll come back and reply to that. So don't worry if you're not on live now for asking that. So Kim introduced herself, so I should introduce myself before I go on too much longer. I'm Kathy Jentz. I'm the host of the GardenDC podcast. I am the editor of Washington Gardener magazine. Let's see if I can hold one of our back issues up. We're an all digital magazine. We used to be in print, but this is one of our back print issues. And we're all about gardening in the greater Washington, D.C. area. And I am also a new author of a book, and we'll talk about my new book coming out and Kim's new book coming out at the end of this. And we'll probably go to about 2 p.m. if you all want to hang in with us. And that's Eastern time if you're watching it in any other time zone. So let's talk a little bit about Seed Swap Day. Let's see if I can get the slide to go to the next slide for us. So National Seed Swap Day was started a little over 15 years ago by myself when I established a seed exchange for the DC area. And now we have 2 usually. This year we're back to 1, but we'll talk about that again in a little bit. That has to do with that nasty thing called COVID. But National Seed Swap Day, I named it the last Saturday of January. So the date changes every year, kind of how Thanksgiving's date changes every year, right? But this year it's January 29th, 2022. And I am seeing people use National Seed Swap Day or just hashtag Seed Swap Day all over the internet. I've got ones popping up in Germany and Ireland and South Africa and South America. So I'm super excited. And I'm trying to phase out the national part. Like the national was just because it was on a national holiday registry. I just want it to be Seed Swap Day period, or we're just going to call it International Seed Swap Day. How's that, Kim?
I think international works really well.
Yeah. Well, then it'll be ISSD. We'll have to figure out something. And somebody this morning I was talking to said, do you have a theme song? And I was like, you know what? I need to get on that. Every holiday has a song, right, Kim? Even
Absolutely.
Thanksgiving, it's got that Charlie Brown tune that we all know. And I'm like, we need a song about seed swapping. That's a good idea. Maybe we'll have
definitely do.
And so
that's a great idea.
I'm not a musical writer.
Yeah.
Hey, I can write lyrics and poems. Somebody can write the tune for me if they're out there. And so it's 50 days until spring, and I'm feeling it, Kim. I'm feeling it because there are snow and ice outside right now. That's why I've got my heavy sweatshirt on.
Yeah, hubby was just out there with his brand new snow blower. Got a little electric snow blower, and we have such a long driveway. He ended up having to stop in the middle of it and put them back on the charger so he can go a little bit later on today.
So it's a battery charged snowblower.
Yep, and it comes with 2 batteries, and they drained both the batteries.
And you must have a big driveway too.
It's a huge driveway. We just moved here. It's a multi-generational house, and moved here with my youngest son, daughter-in-law, and she was the one that actually asked us to move in with her. So I am mother-in-law of the year, and 3 grandkids. Yeah, so
nice. So 3 generations all in one house. And you're going to get that new garden started this spring.
We'll see. Right. Well, we're surrounded on three sides by woods, very mature, protected woodland. So I can't chop anything down or limb things up. And so at the moment, the only place to grow sunny vegetables is in the front yard. And it's huge. And I have to kind of work my daughter-in-law into saying, yeah, a nice greenhouse would work well there.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll win her over. We'll figure it out.
We will.
All right. So I wanted to jump right into one of our prize drawings for those who are tuning in live. So we're going to do it a couple different ways. I think what we're going to do is we have 2 sets of books from Julie Thompson Adolph, and she is Garden Delights if you know her online, and she wrote this wonderful book on starting and saving seeds. And I love her book, and I talk about it whenever I do talks on seed saving or seed starting, because it's full of these great photos that show you the seeds and the steps. Like there's a lot of seed saving books that are very descriptive, but they're not as beautiful photos and showing you the steps all along. And she's also going to share some of her favorite seed packs with the winner. So you'll get the book along with some seed packs. And I think what we're going to do is anybody during this live hour at the end at 2 p.m., I'm going to pick a winner from any of the comments on this live YouTube channel. So just comment away and we'll just pick somebody at random from that. And because people will be watching this afterwards, I want to give people a few days to enter for that second chance of the book and some seeds. And so let's say, I'm looking at the calendar right now, Kim, I'm thinking January 31st, midnight, 2022 will be the cutoff for the next set of comments. So anybody who comments between now and January 31st, 2022 will have a second chance for the drawing for the book. How's that?
Perfect. Boy, that's really generous, because most of the time you must be present to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we announced this so short notice, and I know people's lives are busy. They're running around getting their I was going to say milk and eggs for the snowstorm, but that should have been yesterday. But maybe you're up in Boston socked in and your electricity is out. So in case your internet or electricity is out, you get a little chance to come back and do that. All right, so we're going to talk about first how to celebrate Seed Swap Day. So of course, the first best way is to host or attend a local seed swap. And that could be at your local public garden. It could be your garden club. It could be just amongst some neighbors. Could be, I don't know. What other groups do you think could form a garden club, Kim?
Gee, well, sweet seed swaps, I think you just said it, garden clubs. Garden clubs
Mhm.
are great. As a matter of fact, I was just on a TikTok live. Someone was doing a TikTok live, and it turns out that almost all of us were in Maryland. So we talked about it. And I said, hey, happy seed swap day. And we might be doing an impromptu seed swap.
Cool. Yeah, I think even like amongst coworkers on break,
Mhm.
like if you put a box of seeds in your break room and was like, take one, bring one type of thing, you could put a little note on there because if people take breaks at different times,
Yeah.
that might, you might not be able to do it all at once.
With a little
So
pump of hand sanitizer.
yes, I was gonna say, but safely. So
Yeah.
that's the next thing on our list is share seeds safely. So we do have things, and I have a couple pictures and a couple slides of local seed libraries and places that people either convert a little free library into a seed library, or it could be at your local public library. A lot of them have little seed banks. It just might be a chest of drawers, or it could be a box on the counter. So put your hand sanitizer on, get in there, put your hand sanitizer on afterwards, let it dry before you touch any seed packs, because even though it's alcohol, it could affect the seeds. So you don't want to have wet hands or sticky hands when you're going through the seed packets, right?
Yeah.
So another
Perfect.
thing we can do to celebrate Seed Swap Day is maybe you cut a bunch of dill seed heads, and I'm pointing at myself right here. Cut a bunch of dill seed heads in the fall from the garden. You put them in a brown paper bag, you labeled it bag dill, and you threw it in your garage or wherever you want to store your seeds, and you haven't taken those seeds off the seed heads and put them in packets yet. So today is a nice cold winter day, right, for sitting at home, labeling seed packs and making nice little packets for people.
Yeah.
And then I like to decorate a seed storage jar or box. So you could have like those photo boxes and decoupage it with seed catalog,
That's a great one.
pictures and stuff, or the
Yeah.
pictures of flowers or anything you're going to grow. But I also like jars because those
Mhm.
are airtight. They're going to keep the moisture out. So I will take old pickle
Yeah.
jars and paint the lids and then maybe put a label on the outside. You can paint with chalk paint. And so you could erase what you wrote and put it on again if you like.
And I always put a couple of one or two desiccant packets, the silica
Mm-hmm.
packets in there to just to make sure, or an oxygen absorber packet, and
Yep.
those are readily available. And that's really really good. So if you're not familiar with those, they are the little packets that come in, like a brand new handbag or a brand new box of shoes. So it is shopping time, ladies,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to get your silica packets somehow.
Yep. And if you're not in the market for new shoes or purses, you can buy silica gel packs from the
Yes.
craft store.
Yes,
If you're
absolutely.
like a real serious seed saver and you want a lot, that you usually got those little packets, you can
Which
ask
I do
anytime.
have. Yeah. And it comes in big ziploc. Yeah. It, yeah.
Yep. And so our next thing was to make a seed craft. So I was going to say you could do this for the family with kids or grandkids, but you know what? I always think when people say things are for kids, you're like, I'm a kid too. I like seed crafts too. So I had made this game a couple years ago to bring to events, which is taking index cards, and I glued seeds on one index card, and then I glued a picture of what the seeds came from on another card. So I made this seed matching game. And so it was like,
Ah,
I thought it was easy things like acorns and pumpkin seeds. But then I got to like cosmos, and I realized that the little BBs of cosmos look like a lot of other things. So that really
yeah.
stumped people in that game.
Yeah. I can imagine there are several seeds look alike.
Yep.
And the funny thing is seedlings look alike too. So always mark your seeds when you're planting them.
Mm-hmm. And have a key, you know,
Mhm.
take a picture of them when they're a baby and
Yeah.
when they're a little bit bigger. And then you'll always know what it looks like versus a weed. Like,
Yeah.
because that's always say your lettuce or your radish seedlings are coming up in the garden and you're like, oh, am I weeding out my deliberately seeded babies or
Yeah.
those weed interlopers that are coming up in there? So
Absolutely.
after a few years, you get to know, right?
Yes, but when you're a beginning gardener, and we've all been beginning gardeners, it's really confusing.
Yep.
But one
Yeah.
thing I do love, like I teach square foot gardening, and we plant very precisely. So we've got a square foot, and for lettuces, for instance, we'll
Mm.
poke four holes in each of the a hole in each of the four corners, and we'll just do 2 or 3 seeds there. So if something in the middle pops up and it's green, you know that's not what you want, and you can
Mhm.
like weed that very easily.
I'm just looking at some of our comments, Kim, and Janice Cox was saying that schools are a great place to inspire young gardeners. That is so true.
Yeah.
And seeds are so much fun to play with, because I was like, you can just rattle them, start off the baby level into kindergarten. They love seeds. And I had given a talk for a kindergarten class one time at a DC charter school, and I was cutting open an apple to show them the seeds inside. And I cut it crosswise so you can see the
Uh-huh.
star in the middle instead of the way we
Yeah.
usually cut it to make slices. So you see that star in the middle with the seeds, and the kids were like, wow. They were looking at my hand, where the apple, they were fascinated by it. And
Yeah.
then afterwards, a little hand comes up and says, when can we eat the apple? And it's like, oh, you don't care about seeds. You
No.
care about eating this delicious apple that I have in my hand. So,
And
but
my 7-year-old grandson wants me to plant everything. I mean, like they had a seedless watermelon, but one of them was black, and they want me to plant that.
hey.
Yeah,
Well, it can't hurt, and it was free to you, right?
yeah,
Of course.
absolutely. Oma does magic.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I've heard of a few people doing the little switch outs. Like,
Uh,
maybe those marigolds got a little overwatered and they're not going to germinate, or something happened to them. And
yeah.
then boop, overnight, there's a little switch out. And so that inspires the kid to, that it wasn't a failure, and I think that's okay on the level of Santa Claus
Yes.
level, right? To do
Yeah,
a little switch
absolutely.
out when they're super young. But
Yeah.
they also need to learn a lesson that not all seeds germinate. You're right.
Yes. Yes. And the thing of it is, like with, if you are not a real gardener unless you've killed many plants, hundreds of plants.
Yeah.
So that's part of life. It's part, the circle of life. I'm gonna not sing, so don't worry about that.
Mhm.
But yeah, it is. Experienced gardeners have failures. So
Mhm.
yeah, never get
Yeah.
discouraged.
And that watermelon you were talking about from the seedless watermelon, which is probably going to be sterile, or it's not going to be coming up the same
True.
watermelon because it's a
Right.
hybrid.
Yeah.
So the children of hybrids can germinate, but they won't be the
But
same
yeah,
usually.
they will
Yeah.
definitely. But you know what? Sometimes you get a real surprise that, and
Hmm.
that hybrid thing, it looks like a Frankenstein monster. It's delicious. I had
Yep.
a spaghetti squash that got cross pollinated, and the next seeds, came out large and white and not so stringy like the spaghetti
Hmm.
squash, but it was delicious.
Yep. That's what I always say. You'll get a squash,
Mm.
but will it be edible? Will it be palatable? Will it be
Yeah.
tasty? You don't know, but it's a fun experiment. And if you have the room to try it out, and that's, again, we're talking about growing from hybrid seeds, because you always hear
Right.
that myth that you can't plant hybrid seeds or you can't save hybrid seeds. So that's not true. They're just saying you can't get the same plant. You're not going to get that same tomato if it's a hybrid tomato coming from that same seed, but you'll get a tomato. Yeah,
Yeah.
unless it's sterile, which is a whole other
Another
story.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But the way a seed will come true is if you look for open pollinated on
Mhm.
the packet or in the seed catalog. So sometimes it'll just say OP next to the name. If it says F1, that means a hybrid of first generation, first
Right.
familial. And then open pollinated means it can come true from seed.
Correct. Or look for heirloom varieties.
Mm-hmm.
So it all open pollinated seeds are, or is it all heirloom seeds are open pollinated, but not necessarily all open pollinated seeds are heirlooms.
Correct. Yeah, because
So
heirloom generally means over 50 years old variety. Some people say 100, some people say 19th century. I'm just going to say pre 1950 at this point.
there you
That's
go.
almost 75 years ago, everybody.
Yeah.
Can you
The
believe that?
mid-century modern tomato seeds.
Yes, exactly. So let's do a couple more slides, because I'll give you a little peek
Love
ahead
that.
here. So this is a little seed pack project that we have at WashingtonGardener.com. You can print out. this pattern to make like little coin envelopes, the one on the left. The one on the right, we have the instructions for the origami seed packet, and it kind of makes this shape right here. So it's wider on the top and it's tucked in. And I like to take old seed catalogs and do that one. So that's a lot of fun to do. And then we were talking about seed crafts earlier, and here's one of my seed jars. I had matched the moon and stars, the morning glory with that pattern with the lid, because I was feeling crafty that day. But we also have a fun Valentine, because Valentine's Day is coming up, and who doesn't want seeds for Valentine's Day? I'd rather get seeds than candy, and I'm a chocoholic. I'm saying that, Kim.
Well, do you know what? Have you seen that meme? It's coming up on my, TikTok later, and later, closer to Valentine's Day. And someone took the big heart-shaped chocolate box. They ate the chocolates probably, and then they put seeds in each of the compartments. And I'm like,
I have seen that. I'm so jealous of that, because I'm like, first of all, I'm not buying a big box of chocolates for myself. Somebody needs to give me that, and then I'll eat them all, and then I'll put all the seeds in and do that picture myself.
Yep. Yeah. So you go to the store the day after Valentine's Day this year, and everything's 50% off. You buy all those boxes of chocolate, eat them up, and then next year you're going to have all those great things, and everybody will love you.
Yes. And I'll love the chocolate and the seeds. But I was going
to say, and I love that it's terracotta color.
Yes. So I picked some scrapbook paper that's the terracotta to make a little pot. And, it's just 2 pieces of scrapbook paper. And I made a little envelope in the back to fit the seeds in. So, and then have the nasturtium. And I wrote with gel pen, because it showed up. It's really hard to write on terracotta, I found out, Kim. Terracotta is a pretty dark scrap paper or scrapping paper. So the shinier Be Mine, and I did a little rose there.
Yeah. So always, you need contrast color, a contrasting color. Yeah.
And then I was going to say another great way to celebrate Seed Swap Day is to support your local seed banks. So you might have one in your region that specializes in saving seeds from just your area, your growing area. Maybe you're in a country that has a legacy of growing a certain type of seed. So in Mexico, it might be all those different corns. So we're showing here a native seed search with these beautiful gem corn that they had bred. And then these are some of the older forms of corn that they're still saving and growing on and keeping every year. So it's a great idea to give a donation, as in monetary donation, to a seed bank, but maybe also ask them if they need volunteers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So our next thing, I talked a little bit about the little free libraries that are in a lot of neighborhoods. So some people are, especially during COVID last year, were using them to give out seeds. So I had dropped off some seed packs in my neighborhood, but ask permission first, because some little free libraries are very strict about the contents of their little free libraries. They're either just one genre of book, like some in my neighborhood are just young adult titles. Some are just children, like elementary school age, and then some are like adult fiction or something. So you want to check in with the owner before you just drop off a little fairy gift of seeds there.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm planning on, and I'm going to debut it here on Seed Swap Day. I'm getting a neighbor who is a very handy carpenter to make a little seed library for me to have in front of my house, so I can permanently put out that little seed library and have that there.
Nice.
Right. So since we were talking about COVID and being safe, Kim, a little bit earlier, so we're trying to, think of some ways for safe ways to share seeds. So you can obviously trade by mail or online forums. Do you do any of that, Kim?
I'm about to, and I'll tell you what, I have a sad story. Just a few months ago, right before I moved from one house to the other, I lost all of my seeds because I had left I have a little seed refrigerator, and I did not close the door all the way. So the freezer portion melted and everything was stuck together and molded. And people have been so generous. They've been sending me seeds, and you just want to get all weepy because that's great. But yeah, mailing them is great. It's easy to do. It's going to be extra postage most of the time because of the thickness of the envelope.
Yeah, because you definitely want to weigh it. And I have encountered at the post office when I've brought seeds to mail to somebody, you know, it feels a little squishy and it makes a noise. So I will write seeds on the outside, because I think sometimes the postal service or the mailman or your local mail carrier or mail lady is like, what is in here? Because this feels a little odd and I don't like that it's making noise. So it's a good idea to label what's inside if it's not obvious.
But you have to be careful with that, because you have to check the laws between states, because
Yep.
I know you cannot do some seeds to some areas, like Arizona, pretty much, you know, don't bother sending anything to Arizona. But yeah, just be aware of that, and really do that if you are planning on sending anything overseas.
Especially overseas, definitely. Kim.
Especially overseas,
Yeah,
because you don't want to get locked up for being nice.
Yeah, and we also, there's a reason for those laws. Is because seeds can carry a fungus or can be invasive in other countries depending on what you're sending. So we want to protect what's in our gardens. They want to protect what's in their gardens. And of course, they want to protect their agriculture. That's what they're trying to protect, is the farmers from getting anything that might be detrimental to that. And I was going to say that last year on Seed Swap Day, we were totally on lockdown at that point. And so we did Seed Swap Day 2021 live on YouTube. So if you're watching this, go back and watch that one. And we talked to several seed swapping organizations on that recording about how they do their local seed swaps, because everybody does theirs a little bit differently, and also their ideas for safe seed sharing during COVID. So go back and look at that recording. That should be almost exactly a year ago if you scroll back through our older videos on YouTube and just look for Seed Swap Day 2021. It was probably January 30th. I'm going to go back in my brain, January 30th, 2021, when that was posted. So a couple more of the ideas that we were thinking for safe seed sharing is to get them out to local food banks, which I shared a bunch of seeds with our local food bank, and they put them in with some of the meals that people were picking up, and grocery packs.
I do have a real quick thing. If you know anybody that is in the SNAP program, they can use their SNAP benefits to buy seeds and transplants, food transplants.
Yeah, that's a really great thing to know, Kim, because you can go to a farmer's market and you can buy started seedlings of tomato plants with your SNAP credits. You can also go to the garden center and, like you said, buy seeds. And a lot of grocery stores will have racks from like Burpee and other companies there near the floral section. Usually the floral department will have a couple seed racks. So then you could put it in your grocery purchase and apply it to that.
So yeah, any place that takes EBTs and SNAP, sometimes you have to, maybe have on your phone the rules for that, because some of the cashiers might not know it.
Well, they will have to get educated, because that's still in the what's covered under the SNAP or seed program.
Yep.
And then outdoor seed swaps, I included that, but I kind of find that a little iffy, Kim, because seeds blow away pretty easily, and seed packets do as well. Putting them out on the paper, they can blow off the table. I attended one outdoor seed swap in fall a couple years ago that wasn't undercover, and an unexpected little sprinkle of rain came up and everybody's seeds got soggy, except for the people who had brought like their beans and stuff in jars. So they were good. They had little baby food jars and stuff. So theirs was safe. But yeah, even that unexpected sprinkle, if you're not under a shelter, could be a problem.
Yeah, you're right. And I love that next one, rescheduling swaps to a later date. You always have to be open and flexible. That's hard when you've got a group of people that are volunteering to do it, to, make sure you've got coverage the entire time. But, it is what it is. You cannot prevent an emergency.
Yeah, and some places are only allowing a certain amount of people in a room at a time. So if your facility is only allowing, say, 20 or 50, and you usually have 100, then you might schedule a series.
Oh, yeah.
Or how we did it last year at Brookside Gardens, our one, we pushed it back to a much later date. We did it in the auditorium and opened up the doors, and we had people sign up online for 15-minute appointments.
Yeah.
So you came through during your appointment, you picked up your seeds and you went out. So it was, and you dropped them off earlier. So that was the only catch is people dropped off their seeds in the morning, we sorted them, and then you came back at your 15-minute appointment.
I knew
So
you'd
that was
find a
one
way to do it.
But this year we're hoping to be back regular as program as we normally do. We're just a month later. So instead of it being today, it's February 26th. And you can find out that information at WashingtonGardener.com or SeedSwapDay.com and register for that. And that's at Brookside Gardens in Wheaton, Maryland. Obviously, if you're not in the greater Washington, D.C. area, that's a bit of a hike for you, and you want to find a seed swap closer to you. We're going to be listing them on Seed Swap Day. I've only popped in a few so far, but most of them have been delayed till later. So in the next few days and coming weeks, I'm going to be adding Seed Swap Days and events more and more to those listings. So if you check once and you don't see one, come back again in another week or so and check again. And if you know of one that I haven't listed, go ahead in the comments, either on this YouTube video or at seedswapday.com on the comments under the listings, and then I'll add them to that listing there.
Yeah. So I don't remember, we did go over the slides. I don't remember, did you have a section about what to put on the packet?
I
things like
didn't,
that,
Kim,
or
if you want to talk about that. So
okay.
I'm showing a blank seed packet here,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's a good idea to talk about what to label on your seed.
Right. So first off, you want to be courteous and make sure that your seeds are not too old. If they're a couple of years old, then I would do a germination test before packaging them up. And you want to put a reasonable amount of seeds per pack. And that would be like if it's tomato plants or tomatoes, maybe a minimum of 10 seeds in there, a squash also about 10 seeds. If it's something like carrots where you're going to put a whole bunch of them together, 50 or so, don't worry about it. I mean, just like grab a big old pinch and put them in there. But before you load up the seeds inside the pack, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to write carrots, and then the variety of carrots, like, Nantes, whatever, red scarlet Nantes, and that would be underneath the carrot. And then you would sort of put the date that you collected them, so that way people know how fresh they are. And what else? I think that's pretty much it. But you want to
color sometimes, like if you want to
if it's an unusual,
yeah, sometimes it's like it's green. If it's not in the name of the flower, you might want to note it, because there are some more like yellow marigolds versus orange marigolds. And, same thing with zinnias and other flowers. You want to be specific, especially like hollyhocks. You can have a beautiful black hollyhock, and if it's not in the name of the hollyhock variety, or you just don't know the name,
and and maybe well, I do veggies. So basically you could even say like carrots, you could put 16 per square foot or something like that, if you know that information. If you don't, sometimes you're going to get a surprise package. But really just make sure and write the information on the seed packet before you put the seeds in it, or you're going to be poking your pen through the envelope.
Exactly. And I was going to say, one of my tips is, and I'm pulling it out here, is these Avery address labels that you can print out on your printer, because my handwriting, I'll just give you a little preview. You don't want me to write on your seed pack the instructions. You
don't want me to write on your seed pack instructions either.
So I type it up in the address labels in a Word doc, and then I print them out in multiple there. And then I get to save those files, and they can have like little hints about the stuff. The other thing you could do is go in your seed catalogs and find the same seed in your older seed catalogs and cut that out and either Xerox it or paste that on there. That can help too, because seed catalogs are full of wonderful growing information.
Yeah. And sometimes you could even put those. When I was at your seed swap for the first time, someone had the address label on it, and they had a little thumbnail of the plant or of the flower, and that was awesome.
Yeah, if you have a color printer and you have taken a photo of that plant, you can add that to the little address label in the corner, so you can pick a picture of that tomato or a picture of that flower or whatever it is. So I was gonna, in the comments, reply to a couple things.
Okay.
And it was, I think it was Nan or Nick. So Nick Haven said, is there a link to the crafts that have been discussed? So yes, I have a Pinterest board for seed crafts, but I'll also put in the YouTube later, WashingtonGardener.com. And if you just enter seed pack or the seed craft or the seed Valentine, I'll put the instructions up for those and that. And I'll see if I can type those in while we're talking here, Kim. And then there was a comment about when I mail seeds, I pack them in a small Ziploc bag and then some thin foam. And I thought that was a great one because that obviously
Really, that's good.
can even it out. And that's a great one to have that thin foam around it. And there was another comment about, oh, here it is. Sally Brooker says, check out grandmother Flora Maya, who makes seed packs for newborns and has a seed temple celebrating heirloom seeds. So if you have a new baby in your life or a friend that you might want to gift with some seeds to introduce kids to seeds, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Oh, and also, going on the other end from birth to death, I've been to some funerals and people have had the seeds that are implanted into pulp paper and made a nice little memento. Mel Bartholomew, who wrote the Square Foot Gardening book and came up with that method, his family did that and they sent some to me, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, that's such a great way to memorialize somebody, is seeds from their garden or seeds that they have passed down for their family.
Yeah.
That's such a wonderful thing to do. And before we go on too much more, I want to point out another prize that we're going to be giving away at the end of the hour. And that's from Botanical Interest Seed Company. And they also have garden tools and other things in their catalog. They're a terrific company out of Colorado, and they have donated a $25 gift certificate with the caveat, you'll see it at the bottom, that you must be a US resident for seed shipping purposes. So like Kim had said before, we can't send the seeds from US internationally. So they had added that caveat that whoever enters or that we pick has to have a US address.
Yeah. And that is so important. My husband's last tour was at the embassy in Berlin, Germany, and the embassies usually have a Department of Commerce and Department of Agriculture little substations inside the embassies. And I at first I thought, oh, what does it hurt to just take these few seeds from this, this public garden and, bring them home with me to the States. And, then I'm like, well, no, there's a reason for it. There's a reason for the rules.
Yeah, that does bring up seed etiquette when you're going to any public garden, because a lot of public gardens are saving their seeds to propagate on, and they have volunteers that are doing that. So good idea to always ask. And I remember going to Thomas Jefferson's Monticello a few years ago at the Heritage Harvest Festival. And one of their programs was a seed collecting program where you went around with the horticulturist on staff, and she collected seeds from various things, and we got to share them during that session, which was wonderful to have that access. And a lot of them are selling their seeds in their gift shop, including Monticello. I think at Tudor Place in Washington, D.C., they're also selling seeds that they've collected, Green Spring Gardens in Annandale, Virginia. And I'm sure the same thing with public gardens all over.
Yeah. And it's just rude. It would be rude to do that. I mean, I'm not saying that I wasn't tempted to do it, but just, be courteous. And Monticello, they have Anne Arundel muskmelon seeds. And at the time I lived in Anne Arundel County. So I kind of felt like Johnny Appleseed. I was giving away transplants and seeds to, a bunch of different public areas.
And I just popped into the YouTube comments, the Valentine craft link, and I'll share a couple more of the craft links in a little bit. And the Avery labels also work, Fred says, as a way to reuse empty seed packets from places like Urban Farmer. So that's a great idea. So I'm taking some of my seed packs from things I grew last season, and you can stick that Avery label right over it. Sometimes I'll also do a cross out with a Sharpie or a black marker so that it's not mistaken for that's what's in this packet. And you put the Avery seed label over it and say, this is now watermelon in this one.
Very good.
So yeah,
That's a great
reusing
idea.
the old seed packets is a great idea. And I was going to show some different seed packets that I have here from other companies, but most of them are commercial seed packets that I have here, but also bank envelopes, these little coin envelopes. I mean, who does that anymore, right?
Yeah.
But you can still buy pretty inexpensive packs of coin envelopes and then put your little Avery seed label on that, and then just seal the back up. So those are nice little small dispensing size.
Those are my favorite.
Mm-hmm. And also those little jeweler packs of plastic baggies.
Yep.
Those tiny little ones that might fit like a pair of earrings or something for sale. So those are pretty readily available. Plastic is good for protecting seeds, but it can hold moisture in. So just be careful of that, because some people will put seeds in plastic baggies and then into their fridge, and their fridge does have humidity in it.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if you can put that little baggie inside a glass jar,
or or another larger baggie with silica packets. That's how I store and put them in the refrigerator. And let me give you a hint, because I used to sell seeds in those little plastic things. Don't try to take the two ends and pull them apart. Kind of wet your fingers a little bit, and then here's the line, here's the bottom part, and here's that top part you're trying to open. You just take the top of it and dampen your fingers, and then push and twist, and they usually open.
Okay. Yeah, I have had some split down the seam when I've opened them before.
Yeah.
Because the little guys, and then they split down the seam. So yeah, a little bit too much strength there, I guess.
Yep.
Yes. All right. So let's go through more of the slideshow, and then we'll maybe pick a prize in a minute, and then also check on the comments a few more. So our next let me go back to supporting Seed Swap Day. So at seedswapday.com, I do have a tip jar there. So if you want to give a few pennies towards supporting Seed Swap Day and the new song we're going to write, Kim.
Oh, yeah. It's Seed Swap Day. It's Seed Swap Day.
And then the sponsor of this program is Washington Gardener Magazine. That's my magazine. And we are having our seed exchange, as I said before, on February 26th. Which is Saturday in the afternoon from 12:30 to 4. And the tickets are available for that at wgseedx.brownpapertickets.com. And brown paper tickets is plural, just in case that's not very legible. And I want to give a little plug to both of our new books that we had mentioned before. And Kim, if you want to talk about your book for a second there, and I'm going to check some more comments in the comments field.
So not shameless plug here. We always have our books available. So my book is coming out in March 15th, and it is available for pre-order right now. And Kathy has a link there. Of course, you're just going to have to write that down, but it is a short link. And I have volunteered for 2 organizations that needed indoor gardens. And one of them was a veterans home, a veterans nursing home, and they wanted something that they could wheel around. And so my thought, I'm also a veteran, so this was near and dear to my heart. So I thought about this rolling thing that we could take in from room to room, and it would be filled with different herbs. And so not only was it, it's tactile, they can touch it, but then they can smell it. And that was a big hit. And for other people that had lost their homes, and they were temporarily put into apartments or hotels, things like that, motels, and indoor things for them to be able to grow a little bit of their food, because they were used to doing that. So I take you all the way from how to site your, go around from room to room, look at the light you're getting in from the windows, and Then I teach you soil-based methods, hydroponic methods. I talk about supplemental lighting and things like that. So this is, it's a pretty comprehensive book. And so I'm really happy with it.
And Kim, every time I look at your cover of your book, I think about the zombie apocalypse, and I think this needs to be in your backpack.
Yeah, well,
you're gonna
yeah,
need that.
you will need it, and one of the reasons it came out at the perfect time, because like I would teach about gardening, and someone says, "Well, you know what, my community garden or allotment garden is not allowing us in right now," so. So they didn't have access to that. And also some people say, well, you know what, if I grow it, somebody's just going to steal it. So there's another reason. Of course, weather's an option or a hindrance to some people gardening. But I got to tell you, a lot of people say, oh yeah, it's snowy. I hate snow. I hate the cold. You can't grow anything. So I teach them how to grow. For me, I hate the heat, humidity, and mosquitoes. So I prefer it more in the summertime.
And Leela and Monica Zhang asked about the seed swap list. And if you go to seedswapday.com, so all one word, seedswapday.com, you'll see the 2022 list right under today's event listing. And again, we're going to keep adding seed swaps over the coming days and weeks to that. So come back and check that site a few times. And so thank you, Kim, for sharing about your book. And I'm just going to hold up my book that I co-wrote with Teri Speight for a second here and show you it's a real book. I got my advanced author's copy. Both of our books are coming out in March and early spring. So they're on pre-order now through Amazon. And mine is about growing food and beauty and different methods and ways you can do that in small space gardening. So if you have a urban tight space, maybe you just have a little patio, a balcony, maybe you have a tiny walkout or stoop, this is the book for you. Or if you're in a row house or townhouse, even in the suburbs, all the ideas are generally small space gardening. So check out that book. And I wanted to pop over to our last slide, which is on our social media. So I'm at WDC Gardener on Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest, and TikTok now, and everything else. And my blog is washingtongardener.blogspot.com. On Facebook, you can find me at Washington Gardener Magazine. And I generally hashtag everything, hashtag GardenDC, if it's related to gardening in my area. And Kim, do you want to give your social media so people can follow you?
Most of mine, like Facebook, is Square Foot Gardening, the number 4 and the letter U. So it's square space, foot space, whatever. On Instagram, it's that same thing, but it's an underscore between each word. My website is sfg4u.com. So it's pretty easy. Oh, wait a second. Right here. sfg4u.com.
Put it closer to your face a little bit, because then it goes out of focus a little bit. There you go. So sfg4u.
Yep.
For you. Great. And it's got the little logo. Thanks, Kim. So I think we have about 13 minutes left in our hour, and I'm going to go ahead and draw from anybody who's commented so far on the live chat for that $25 gift certificate for botanical interest. And I'm scrolling through the comments, and I'm going to take my glasses off and close my eyes, and I'm just going to point. And that is, I think it said Maria. Let me make sure I'm reading the name correctly for your certificate. Monica Zhang. It wasn't Maria, it was Monica. Z-H-A-N-G, Monica. If you want to email me, it's kathyjentz@gmail.com, or you can get me through my social media and send me your address. And then we will have the gift certificate sent to you from Botanical Interests. And in a few minutes at the end of the hour, we're going to do the drawing for one of the books from Julie Thompson Adolph on seed saving. And Kim, I was just about to ask you a question. Oh, Maria asked, is there an app that can help identify saved seeds that may have lost their labels?
Ooh, I don't think so. Because squash seed looks like a squash seed, looks like a squash seed. Sometimes you can guess by the size of it, like, oh gosh, I had an Anne Arundel melon that's this big, and I had, a watermelon. Of course, you could do those too. I don't think so.
Yeah, that's a tough one because you can generally tell that it's a watermelon or a squash or an apple seed or something else. Maybe you can narrow down the category, but then you wouldn't be able to say the exact variety or cultivar. But it's funny that the app is called, that for plant ID is called Snapseed, is one of the popular apps, and it's not about snapping the seed, right?
No, it's not.
So maybe there can be a pool. I was noticing on, I think it's Park Seeds catalog website, they used to share pictures of the seedling and the seed. And I was looking that up the other day and I could not find the pages that had that anymore. So if anybody can find those pages, let me know, because I think that was a great resource to be able to have a picture of what the seed looks like and the little baby seedling next to it. And I know as I'm gardening throughout the year, I'm trying to collect those photos and share them on my social media of, here's what my radish seedlings look like, just popped up. Here's what my cosmos seedlings look like, just popped up, and we can check those out. And I was just going to pull up the next prize that we'll do in about 5 to 10 minutes. Yep, Kim.
Go for that. I was just going to say, I'm trying to look online, and it says something about a USDA, USID identification guide seeds.
And Tracy Blevins
answer one of the, okay.
Oh, Tracy Blevins was pitching in that she thinks iNaturalist might get you there.
Okay.
So if you were like, you found an old envelope of seeds, maybe try iNaturalist and see if that works. And also social media, like group sourcing, group think, you can always take a picture of it and post that to social media and see if people can chime in with that.
Yeah. And basically another one, SeedNet says that in seed identification, the particular seed in question, you basically can only be identified up to the species and not the variety.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, unless the other one foolproof way of IDing that seed, Kim, growing it. So grow it, and then you'll be like, oh, that's what the rest
surprise
of the there you go. So Micah says, I have a long list of plant seedlings and tree saplings available for local gardeners. And that does remind me that I wanted to say that we don't have an online seed swap going now, but there's no reason why you couldn't use the comment field of this recording to swap seeds with each other. So if you feel safe doing it that way, and you want to say, I have been looking for such and such a seed, and I have these seeds to trade. If you want to pop those in the comments, feel free to do so. And this could be a little seed swapping area right there. And then of course you'll have to get in contact with each other to do that trade with each other. So I would say definitely, if there's something you have been stumped that you've been looking for, maybe seed catalogs don't carry it anymore and you grew it years ago. Is there anything like that, Kim, that you're looking for?
Just all of a sudden it just hit me. There are several seed swap sites on Facebook, groups on Facebook. Okay. Also I've seen them on my like Nextdoor app and things like that. Any of the yard sale, your local yard sale sites on Facebook, Craigslist, in search of Free Cycle.
That's very true. Yeah, I've given away seeds through the Buy Nothing groups on Facebook, and given away little plants as well, because you always start too many seedlings, right? And then you want them to go to a good home right away because you don't want anything to happen to them. So I'll post my extra seedlings on that Buy Nothing group.
You mean people plant too many seedlings? I can't.
Well, you get a little carried away there. And also I always say grow more, because not all are going to germinate or all are going to survive. So there's
an air and a spare.
Process. Yep. An air and a spare, so to speak. But I also grow extra because if the seed is a little old, Kim, so you were talking about the longevity of seeds and trying to bring the fresher seeds to a swap. So if I have something that was labeled 2012, I'm going to plant much heavier. Like I'm going to plant all the seeds from that packet. Whereas if it was a fresh seeds from 2021, 2022, I might do it every inch as the spacing tells me on the seed pack to do.
Yeah. And also what I do is I'll grab my calendar, and when it's time to plant, I'll actually start seeds at 1 week intervals. And
Mhm.
sometimes your transplant is ready, but the weather is not. All of a sudden you
Yeah.
get a freak snowstorm. So if that seedling starts to die, you have a second one a week later and a third one, and 2 weeks later, and so on.
That's a good idea. I always get too busy to do the succession thing. I always get too busy to think,
Hmm.
okay, save some of those basil seeds back and
Yeah.
then do them in 2 weeks, and then save some of those radish seeds. I want to do them all at once. Just get them all in
And
the ground at once.
that's particularly true with lettuces, because we plant 4 leaf lettuces in a square in square foot gardening.
Mhm.
And but we do that every other week, because you cannot eat, if you plant 30 plants of lettuces, you can't eat them all, and
Oh, for
that's going to go to
sure.
waste,
Yeah.
so
And that's a good idea we were talking about food banks earlier, is check with your local food bank or soup kitchen. A lot of them will take fresh produce. So our community garden does a harvest day, and we'll donate our excess tomato harvest, because a lot of
mhm.
times you will grow more than you can process or consume yourself. So that's a great tip. And I was going to say, in the comments in the chat, live chat, people are commenting about self-sowing. So that's my
Mm,
favorite way to grow. I
yeah,
almost consider it like guerrilla growing, because I'll leave my basil seeds, some of the seed heads on the herbs will just
yeah.
spill onto the ground. And in that same spot, basil comes back next year. And, it's like set it and forget it. You get the same herb coming every year, as long as you don't weed that out or cover it with too much compost or mulch.
To cherry tomatoes, you're never
Mm-hmm.
going to see all of them. They're going to drop onto the ground, behind the foliage, and it's going to deteriorate. And then the next year you're going to have 15 volunteers.
And you always hear about people's compost piles, and the
Yeah.
two things that grow out of compost piles, volunteer seeds, are usually pumpkins, right?
Yeah.
From the pumpkins that you carved. And so if
Yep.
that was a hybrid pumpkin, again, that might be a slightly different looking pumpkin than the one that you had bought for Halloween that year. And also tomato seeds always
Yeah.
germinate in those compost piles.
Always.
And
And I had a beagle that used to dig up. She loved tomatoes, but when she had enough, she would dig and try to save them. Yeah.
mhm.
And the way my boys got interested in gardening was, we had a smashing pumpkin event at our house after Halloween, and whoop, all the volunteers came up.
So plenty of pumpkin seedlings to share.
Oh yeah. But I wasn't into
Nice.
gardening back then.
Ah,
So
well, we all have a succession of our lives, right? We start off as baby gardeners, and then we get really crazy into it, and then we're like, oh, maybe I'll let somebody else grow that this year.
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah. All right, I'm checking the live chat because we only have a couple minutes left. And let's see. So Maria says she succession plants her arugula, her
Mm,
beets, and her bush beans. And bush beans is a great tip, Maria,
yeah.
because bush beans, unlike the vining beans, you get a set crop, big harvest at once. So then you can or save them or process or freeze them or have a big harvest and eat them all at once if you want to. And then a next harvest will come, and then a next harvest will come.
Yep.
So definitely check on your seed packets or seed catalog or mail order online descriptions of plants, whether it's indeterminate or determinate. So that's the same thing in tomatoes and bush beans and peas, meaning it grows a vine and keeps going and going and going and producing throughout the season, or if it just stays and does one big crop for you at a time. And that often is the difference between pole beans and bush beans. You'll see
Mhm.
those two.
Perfect.
All right, so we got just a couple minutes left, so I'm going to go ahead and do the drawing. Unless you want to do it, Kim, I'm going to let you do it. Do you have it up on your phone, the
I
chat?
I do not.
Okay, this is how I'm going to let you do it. I'm just
Oh,
going to scroll with my finger, and you're going to say stop.
okay. Ready?
I'm scrolling,
Stop.
scrolling. Okay, I am on Tracy Woods Blevins. Tracy,
Oh,
congratulations. You won the
all
book
right.
from Julie Thompson Adolph, Starting
Woohoo.
and Saving Seeds, and the seed pack she's going to save you and send to you. So Tracy, get in touch with me, and I will have that sent to you from Julie, and she's signing those books too. So really nice of Julie to have donated these prizes. And we have
Yeah.
a second book and seed packs from Julie that we are going to give to anybody who comments in the chat or comment field of this recording by January 31st, midnight, 2022. Don't comment in 2025. So I will get up the next morning on February 1st and pick a winner from anybody who has commented at all at that time. All right, so in our last minute left, I want to say, first of all, happy National Seed Swap Day, everybody. And any final thoughts on seeds, Kim?
No, well, gardening is a science experiment. Don't be afraid to try. Just you'll lose plants. That's gardening. So just enjoy.
I agree. And I always say inspiration over perspiration is one of my taglines. And that's just to say, if it starts to feel like a chore and starts to feel like, oh, I have to do this, dial it back, make it smaller. You don't have to grow everything every year.
Yeah.
Again, just like we're swapping seeds, I can swap with somebody else in my community garden or a friend down the street or somebody in my garden club or on Facebook. And I'll be like, I'll grow all the peppers this year and you grow all the tomatoes, or something like lettuce for radish. So think about that too.
Yeah, that's in anybody that's a new gardener, start small. I would suggest if you're growing crops, food crops, no more than 6, and then add some on in the summer, and then add some on in the fall.
Yep, and grow what you can eat.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of people who grow things that they just grow them because they were told to grow them. Or if you're not going to actually do it, yep. All right, well, we are at the end of our hour, and I want to thank everybody who joined us live and everybody who's watching this recording sometime in the future. And I'm Kathy Jentz, and I'm pointing above me. That's Kim Roman. Pointing up and down. Thank you all. And you can find us online, and I will pop our social media and everything in the description of this on YouTube, so you can contact us at a later date if there was questions that we didn't answer here or questions that you have later on.
All right. Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Kim,
Thank
for joining
you.
me.